Hello, and welcome to Romance from Vanilla to Extra Spicy. It's all about happily ever after. I am your moderator, Golden Angel, USA Today bestselling author of romance. I am here. We have a representative from the Right Women's Festival, Heather Brooks, who's the one who organized and put this all together for us. So we super appreciate all the hard work. And I'm here with she's also a romance author, and we are here with three wonderful panelists who are all romance authors. Uh, Rebecca Rivard, Eskay Kabba, and Jaleesa, aka JS Living. They all write different heat levels of romance, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Please tell us your name, how many books you have out, your genre, and your heat level. So we'll go backwards from how I introduced you. So let's start with you, Jaleesa.
All right. So, hello, I'm Jaleesa or JS Living. I already forgot what I was supposed to say. Number of books I have out. So, currently I have two books out, and I'm working on having two more out next year. My two books are The Covenant of Blood. The spice level for that one, I would say, is maybe medium hot. It's open door, but it uses like flowery language. So however you want to take that to be the spice level. And then you have Blood Ties, which is the one behind me. And that one is no spice in it. It has no spice. It's more of a short story collection. And the genre I write in is urban fantasy and historical fiction with romance as a subgenre.
Thanks. Okay, thank you. All right,
Yeah.
SK, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm in my basement, so if you hear the washing machine, sorry. I am Eskay Kabba. I am an LGBTQ erotic romance writer. So my heat level is on a scale of 1 to 5, 10. Been writing for a while, mostly. Well, I started writing when I started like really putting my stuff out there. I was writing on Literotica, which is a site where people write, very spicy stuff. And people really liked my stuff on the gay male category. And so I just started turning them into books. And my first published book was Hidden Love in 2021. And that's a 5-book series. And then I have 2 more series after that. Plain and Civil Connection series and the Rangers Magi series that just came out in September. And then October was the second book, and November 10th, the third book comes out. So those are my, I guess, hardcover, paperback books. But then I also have 2 e-series, one on Google Play Books that has about 6 books in that series, and then one on Theo Reads that has also about 6 chapters in that one, or 6 parts in that one as well. So I've been a busy little bee. Is that it? I don't remember else.
Yeah, that's a great introduction. Thank you. And I am also from Literotica originally.
Yes.
So I always love running into another lit author. Yay. Okay, well, Rebecca, can you go ahead and introduce yourself? Name, number of books, genre, and heat level.
Yes, I'm Rebecca Rivard. I have, I don't know, somewhere around 15 to 20 books out. I keep meaning to count them again. But I write in dark fantasy and dark paranormal romance. My heat level is probably just this shade of erotic, so I say usually like between 4 and 5 on a scale of 5. Um, and that seems to be where people rate me too in Goodreads. I'll get 4 or wherever, 4 to 5. Hot peppers, 4.5 even. And then uh, I have 2 series out. One is a vampire mafia series called The Vampire Syndicate, and the other is called The Fada Shapeshifters, and that features shapeshifters and fae. I use tropes like forced proximity, forbidden romance, so which makes for sexy times to me. So that's it.
Okay, all right. Well, it is so nice to have all of you here today to talk about this because romance, I mean, the heat level, I feel like is such a broad spectrum, as we can already see from everyone's very different answers with just three authors. Um, and I know for myself, I write very high heat, but I read across all of them. So I was kind of curious for you, do you prefer reading in kind of the heat level that you write? Does it not matter? Like, is there something, do you think that the heat level is more important to you than like the genre or the tropes or something like that? Does anyone want to jump in to start? Sorry, I'm gonna
I
call
read.
I will definitely read anything if it's a good story. I tend towards more sexy though, just because, that's fun. But sometimes somebody's just, I definitely remember reading Betty Neal's growing up and total closed door. All they do is kiss and very chastely, and I've reread her recently and still liked her, so yeah.
Yeah, I
Eskay,
think
you
I
look like
read
you were gonna
across
jump in.
genres. Okay, well the thing is, I do need there to be romance and I need there to be like some level of romance, you know? So not necessarily as high as I go, but if it's sweet, if it's cute, if I know that they're making love, in some way, then that's good. I think the only thing that I really um struggle with is romance where there's just kind of like no even hold handing or no kissing, and then I'm like, well then where's the romance? Like we're just talking about romance, but you're not showing me romance. And so that's probably the only thing that I struggle with, but I also read across heat levels.
See, like if I'm gonna read like a romance that doesn't have any spice in it, that's fine. I just need to know ahead of time so I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah,
How about you, Dana?
don't reel me in
Yeah.
with a good story and then nothing happens at the end.
Right? Like I just need to know that the door's gonna be slammed in my face when we get
Right,
to that.
exactly.
I'm the same way. I read across all the genres, whether it has no heat or all the heat. I like it all. But yeah, I definitely feel like you have to tell me if there's not going to be anything in it. That way that I know what I'm getting myself into.
And vice versa, you want to know if it's like extremely erotic. At least I do.
Like whatever, as long as there's some spice, whatever it is, like I'm just like
Yeah.
whatever. Like if there's can be super spicy or a little bit, but I just need the warning for if there's none.
Yeah, one of my trigger warnings is explicit sexual content because I want
Ooh.
people to know, like, if you pick up this book, it's gonna have explicit sexual content. I still get the comments like, there's a lot of sex in this book. And I'm like, because it's explicit sexual content.
They're my favorite reviews, the ones that are like, there's too much sex. I'm like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Same.
I haven't gotten
I
any
just got one of those.
Oh gosh. Well,
I've-
but CJ, and so that's there you go, Jaleesa. That's like the benefit, I guess, of doing the lower heat is that you don't get, like that's a 1-star review that you get to
The
skip.
one star
No, no,
review,
no.
and
I
a
still get
2-star
one
review is like,
stars.
there's just too much sex in this book. And I'm like, okay.
So,
I still get 1 stars for the flowery language.
oh, well, do you ever, I just have to ask, do you ever get any complaints in the reviews or anything about the lack of spice?
I haven't seen that, but I also don't
Oh,
have many reviews for my book because people don't leave
it's
reviews that
hard.
often.
Yeah, it's hard to build them up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never, I'm like, that's something that I would have never thought about, but like maybe there are. I wonder if there are reviews out there. If you write a cleaner romance to,
Yeah.
you end up with there was no spice review
I feel
instead
like
of
that would
what we
happen.
get.
I feel like that would happen in Eskay's example where she was saying that like they don't hold hands or kiss or
Right.
anything at all. I
That's
feel
what
like
I was
that
thinking.
would
Yeah.
get a
I should have
negative
wrote that
review.
review.
Not enough
Read that book like,
spice.
what happened?
Oh.
But yeah.
Okay, well, since we have such a broad spectrum here, I would really love to know when it comes to writing romance, what is your favorite part to write in a romance? Let's start with, let's see, Rebecca started last time, JSU started. So SK, you get to go first.
My favorite part of writing the romance, outside of obviously the erotic scenes,
I mean,
is
that can be your favorite part.
well,
That's
I mean,
allowed.
it is. Yeah, I have fun with those. But I like the first meeting. Like I like new romance. I like when people like first meet. And it doesn't matter whether it's, you know, friends to lovers or enemies to lovers or close proximity. Like none of that matters. It's just that initial like meeting. I it's something about that initial meeting that I like to go back to more than once. And the first kiss. Like I always I like to read about a first kiss, but when I write about a first kiss, it needs to be special, something, even if it's like, you know, two people going at it or just like really soft and sweet. Like that first kiss, it sets me off for like, okay, this is how the story's gonna go. So I would say those two things.
Okay, what about you, Jaleesa?
I would say my favorite part is actually the sex scenes, but that's because I like to write, like I said, my little flowery language. And this is the book I was telling you guys about last time. I don't know if you can see it. It's The Big Book of Filth. I like using
Oh, the
the
big book of
references.
filth.
I like using the references for it. I think it's just so much fun for me. So even though people hate my flowery language, I'm like, well, I get to have fun with it. So that's my favorite part of writing it. But I do like how SK said like the first meeting and the first kiss. Like I've never thought about that being like the most enjoyable part of something. So
Oh,
maybe I'll put more into that the next time I start
yeah,
writing a romance scene.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, Rebecca, what's your favorite part?
Yeah, I have to say, I feel like the sex scenes are my reward for writing the other stuff. And it's funny because because I write paranormal fantasy, a lot of people prefer writing the fight scenes.
Hmm.
A lot of my friends will be and I feel like I struggle with them, but my editor is always like, your fight scenes are so good. So I'm like, okay. I think maybe the things you work the hardest on, you eventually get better. And it kind of almost feels like a sex scene. It's just, in a
It's
different,
action.
yeah, a
Yeah.
different way. But so yeah, those are definitely my rewards. Sometimes I will even skip ahead in the book and do it. But it's also because they're important, and
Yeah.
we haven't really talked about that. And it's like, so I think really my favorite part is like seeing them slowly come together, or like what's keeping them apart and showing that. But and how the sex, since this is about steamy or not, how the romance evolves. That's really cool. I really never get tired of that. Reading it either.
Well, yeah, I mean that my next question for you guys was going to be
Sorry.
what do you do, because that's a great lead in. What do you do to either make it interesting for you or keep it interesting like after a while? I know
Mm.
um my own experience, because I started out on literotica and everything was just sex scenes, and now writing romance, I have write a lot of sex scenes for those, and at a certain point it's all just thrusting. And so like, how do you I use dice now. I have D&D dice. I roll to find out what's going to happen in the sex scene to give myself a challenge. And that's how I keep it interesting. But I would love to hear from you guys. What either makes it interesting for you to like help writers like be inspired by what you're doing, or what helps keep it interesting if you are like me and you started getting a little like, okay, I'm a little burnt out on this. Rebecca, since you went last,
Since I said I never get
I'm
tired
gonna
of it.
just throw you in the hot seat first for this one.
Yeah, but no, I think that is how I keep it interesting what I do. I mean, I definitely read other authors. I'll highlight really good stuff, like, not to copy it, but just, when you highlight it gets in your head more. Um, I try to, not do the whatever A and the B, whatever that little saying is. You guys help me out
Slot tab A into
into
slot B,
slot
whatever
B,
that.
yeah. So to get away from that, you like what is happening emotionally here? And it's not always them coming closer together. Of course, it's like, or maybe it is just sex and then they realize it's more, so like throughout the book too, because we obviously are having multiple scenes, and I also because I'm not writing erotica, they don't necessarily, I don't know in erotica, well, I do read some erotica, but they don't necessarily do the first few things. Maybe some will even interrupt them in some way, or somebody pulls back, to keep myself and the reader interested, because you're like teasing them along. So.
All right, thank you. Eskay, what about you?
Yeah, I think I lean towards really sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought. Tell me, say the
I do
question
that all
again.
the
I
time.
completely lost my train of thought. I can't believe it just like went out my head. What was the question again?
I do that all the time. How do you keep, I mean, especially coming from
Yes.
literotica, how do you keep the sex scenes interesting? Like, do you ever get tired of them? And if you do, or do
Yeah.
you just, they're always interesting and because of a specific thing you love about them?
Yeah. I think I like Rebecca's way of saying putting in the emotion behind the sex scene. That wasn't what I was gonna say, but thank you for that because what I do find is one, there are more words than thrusting. There's pumping, there's jackhammering, there's I like to use like all the
He's
words,
like, I've got
especially
the thesaurus for
yeah.
thrusting.
Uh-huh. Love it. But when I am writing a sex scene, I do like to talk about like what's going on with them internally, like what they're feeling. I use senses. So, what the room looks like, what it smells like, what it, just what sounds are you hearing? It's not just moan and groan, it's breathy sighs, it's, all these other things. And so I do try to keep it interesting. I try not to do kind of the same thing over and over again, which coming from literotica, you read that, right? Like sometimes you read the same author and it's the same, like, they're pumping the same way. But I like to keep it interesting in that really kind of describing what's happening in the scene and not just the sex. I also find myself writing, like trying to make it realistic because sometimes people do like talk during sex. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's dirty, you know, do this to me. And sometimes it's, just kind of words that should have been said before. And I like to throw that in the middle of my sex scenes too. So that's usually how I try to keep it interesting.
My people probably talk too much. I use talking a lot too.
Yeah, like I mean, listen, sorry for the TMI, but like it happens, right? Like
Yeah.
so you're just kind of like, you have all the conversations, like, and again, sometimes it's not just all like moaning. It's like, yeah, like there's things you want to say, I don't write daddy romance, but talk to me, daddy. Why not?
Okay, well, thank you. Jaleesa, so especially since you have one of the books has no spice in it, what inspired you to write spice for one of the books?
Oh, so so I'm a fairly new writer. So first off, I haven't gotten tired of the sex scenes because it's still relatively new. But so my first book is like a full length novel, and so I already knew that I wanted like romance to be like a subplot. And so I was like, well, let me try my hand at writing something kind of dirty and naughty, and it was just really fun to do it. And then as I think I've said this not in this chat, but in a previous one, the reason I like to use flowery language for mine is because my characters are from like, even though my book is more in the modern times in like the 2000s or 2010s, my characters are actually as old, are like 400 or 500 plus years old. And so the historical language, I think, gives it like a little bit of difference from what we read today. So that was part of the reason. I just really like finding old-timey terms for sex and putting them in the novel, even though they could be a little cringe sometimes. As for the other one, it's a short story collection. So that one has no spice because it's more so about like the short story that does have the romance in it. It's more so about how that character feels about the other character. So that's why that one's no spice because it's more about grounding yourself in the feeling. Um,
That actually is a perfect segue to my next question, which I'll let you start off with, since you have that. But in in the romance, if we do take the spice out of the equation for the authors who want to write spiceless romance, what, which, because I think the thing, especially, we talked about how we all read across all the genres, whether or not there is spice in it, or if there's no spice, we're there for the certain feelings that it gives us. So to you, outside of the spice, what is the most important thing to have in a romance that authors should make sure they consider and think about putting in when they're writing? So, okay, JS, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm still fairly new to writing romance, so I'm pretty sure I have a lot to learn. But I would think that the most important thing is making it feel like the characters have an actual connection. Like building that from the ground up. So making sure that, like, the tiny glances, or, like how their skin feels against yours, even if you're just holding hands or doing like a chaste kiss on the cheek, or even if you're not doing all that, even if you're, I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't write at least hand holding. But just exploring those deeper emotions, I think, is the important part, because you can't have your readers feel a connection to the characters if you yourself don't feel a connection, and if you don't have the characters have a connection with each other.
Thank you. SK, back to you.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think it's the same. I think I really do pride myself on knowing that I can take all the sex scenes out of my books, or at least close the door on all the sex scenes, and it's a full story all by itself, because it's the story that should pull you in, not just, not just the sex scenes. And I really do try to incorporate, real life, things that are happening. So I do a lot of family drama. Most of my books are contemporary, but even in my the Rangers Magic series, I there's a lot of this, it's magical realism. So there's a lot of like real world things that are happening. They live in an actual world, they have to pay bills, they have jobs, they have families, all these things. And then they have their own kind of internal struggles and trauma to deal with. So I try to make the story interesting itself, and have the sex be, the icing on the cake. So
Nice. Thank you. Okay, Rebecca, sorry you have to go last.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, because I totally agree with both of what they said. Yeah, I think somebody told me pretty early on, and this was when my stories weren't really hitting with people, nothing was published, that I have to show why my people are falling in love. Yeah, like what is special about that other person? And I still at times like write that down. Okay, why is he falling in love with her? Why is she falling in love with him? And yeah, my people tend to have I write a lot, at least they've known each other before. Second chance, not necessarily second chance because they weren't necessarily together before. But so mine tend to be pretty like, they definitely like slam together, and the sexual connection is instant, not necessarily having sex, but the tension's there. But okay, what's after that? We've all had
Right.
that, and then like 2 months later, who the heck is this person? So what's taking that deeper? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Um, so I guess what I would like to ask next is a little bit more as a reader, because I know that, someone mentioned, I think maybe more than one person has mentioned, reading other people's books um, for inspiration, for just seeing how it's done, for, uh, you know, I think a big part of being an author is reading for most authors. So is there a romance that you've read that just stands out in your mind of this is the pinnacle, this is what I'm working towards, this is like my holy grail, which you can also still be in search of it, if nothing springs to mind, that's fine. But if you have like a favorite romance, or favorite book boyfriend, or something that really stands out to you. So Rebecca, I'll let you go first this time.
Okay. Yeah, there's just been so many, you get people at certain times of your life, but the one that jumped into my head, because I still reread her, is Nalini Singh and Slave
Mm,
to Sensation. Yeah, Lucas, he's a cat shifter. And I liked her world because she had a triumvirate type world. You had the Psy, you have the changelings, and the humans. I have read all the books. And when I did my Fada shapeshifters, I was definitely thinking that's why I had the Fada, the Fae, and the humans in that world. It was definitely an influence. And the Heat was probably fairly similar to what she had too. It like for me, it opened this new world. I was reading Jane Ann Krentz too. It was just like um, I always liked that kind of stuff. I always like magical realism, like SK said, and it was just, oh, I could actually do this. People are publishing this and doing pretty well at it. So I was like, yes, this is because I was writing contemporary romance, which I never ended up publishing.
Oh, well, good. Okay, and Jaleesa, what about you?
So, I'm still searching for ones that like really have me go, yes, I love this. But I will say the two names that come to my mind, and this is solely because I read them in high school, and since growing up. But the two authors that come to mind are Lindsay Sands and Patricia Briggs.
Oh yeah.
And mostly because I don't know, I always enjoyed reading like fantastical fantasy type things. And so like the way that they weave romance and erotica into their novels just kind of stood out to me, especially since I was like reading the dirty novels in class in high school and got censured for it. But yeah, those are the authors that come to mind. But I'm still looking for something that's more like current or more modern that can be just as awe-inspiring or like something that's as long running as a series.
If you like Patricia Briggs, may I suggest Alana Andrews? But
Oh,
Yeah.
I've heard of I actually looked her up, but I haven't read any of her work yet. It's on my list. I have dabbled into like Jennifer L. Armentrout and
Mhm.
who wrote Court of Thorns and Roses. I delved into that for a
Sarah
bit.
Moss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Moss.
delved into her stuff for a little bit, but I don't know. I it's not the
If
same.
someone were to ask me this question, Alana Andrews and Mad Rogan would be from the Hidden Legacy series, that's my like top tier. They're amazing. Kate Daniels series is really good too. But yeah, that's if you and I'm a fan of Patricia Briggs. So that's if you want like Patricia Briggs but more modern, I recommend Alana Andrews.
Okay.
All right, SK, what about you? Do you have someone you're working towards or
Yeah. So interestingly, what I've been reading is a lot of dark
mm-hmm.
romance. But I don't write dark romance. So maybe at some point I want to do a dark romance. But and I've also been just kind of hanging out with new and unknown authors just because. So there is this series by Olanie James called Necessary Evils that I am just in love with. And it's a family of psychopaths, and each of them fall in love one by one. And it's freaking amazing. And I love her writing and I love her style. And I want to be her when I grow up. And if she sees this, then she knows that. Because I bought the first book and I messaged her like a fangirl and was like, this is amazing. I'm getting all 7. Um and then it was oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of this author who wrote The Grave Beside Me, and it's another kind of dark romance and a romance that just kind of just took me to another level, and I was like, yeah, this is like, yeah. So I have a couple of like authors that are out there that I really like aspire to be. But if we're talking old school authors, I mean, I want to be Zane. I want to be Eric Jerome Dickey. I want to be, Terry McMillan. Like I want to be, the ones that Beverly McMahon. Like I want to be the ones that just kind of captured, the world with the work that they did. So yeah.
Oh, love that. Hey. Um, so I guess we've got a little bit more time. Um, when we are talking about uh heat or no heat, would you consider ever writing the opposite of what you currently write? Is that something that you think you might eventually try in the future? Is that something that appeals in any way, or are you like, nope, this is my path, I am set for life, let's go? You know, because I've talked to a lot of different authors. Some of them are very much like, this is what I write, whether it's genre, heat level, whatever. They've started, they're doing it. They're very happy there. They never want to leave. And then there's others who are like, well, I do want to try that, you know, especially since we were just talking about SK, like, well, maybe dark romance one day. Like, do you ever get the urge to try something that's on a different heat level, or is it really just different genres that appeal to you? Which is a very broad question, but SK, we'll go ahead and start with you because I think it's been a while since I've done that.
So I really want to do a YA romance. I started doing one, but they were also like older teens, and older teens have sex, and obviously I didn't describe like all the things, but I mean, yeah. So I was like, okay, so I have to have to do a story where, and so it's so, I don't know, it's hard for me because I feel like I'm not someone who feels like sex is taboo. Like I feel like, you know, sex and romance kind of goes hand in hand. So I really want to try my hand at doing not specifically romance. Like I feel like if I do like a fantasy book, you know, like a real like complete fantasy book, then there's no reason to have, even though knowing me, I'd probably
Work it in some, yeah.
Work it in some kind of love story in the middle of all of that. Yeah, I mean, I want to try my hand in that at some point, do a YA fantasy novel. I have some ideas that kind of like float around in my head that I want to do, and I'm just trying to figure out how to do that. But I think I'll get there.
Becca, what about you? Have you thought about crossing genres or heat levels?
Not really. This is pretty much my comfort zone.
You're on the path. You're good.
The Vampire Syndicate series because you know it's vampires who have joined, you know, naturally into mafia because it made sense for vampires to me. That's a little darker and grittier. And I was reading a lot of dark romance and eventually was like, I want to do something a little darker than my Shapeshifter series. But I may go back to a little less dark. That's about all. I'm thinking I'm writing the sixth book. There's a couple of side books, so I've kind of explored that part for me, and I'm thinking of maybe going a little less dark. Yeah, it doesn't feel real to me, like SK said really, and yeah, unless they're having sex, you know, and then I want to describe that because to me that's that's such a big part of the relationship that I can't imagine not describing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jaleesa, what about? I know you're a newer author, but do you get the urge to dabble already, or are you just kind of like, no, I'm good where I'm at for now?
So I've always been a dabbler. I actually started off with writing YA novels in college, and I realized that I needed more practice before I could do like YA. So then I switched to the adult, and my books, unlike you guys', aren't like overly romance. Like I wouldn't say that they're romance, they're urban fantasy and or historical fiction with romantic subplots. So I would say I would like to try my hand at writing like an actual romance at some point, but I think I feel like I need some more practice, which is why it's just like the subgenre for now. But yeah, I'm excited to get back to YA fantasy at some point, or maybe new adult fantasy. I found that YA might not be it for me. I think I like the idea of aging my characters up so that they're like in their late teens, early 20s.
Yeah. I've noticed my characters age as I do. If anyone else is experiencing that, but I'm now past the point where I can do like the late teens, early 20s. That's it. I just kind of am like, oh man, that's a long time ago for me now.
It's not that long for me.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I feel like
Which
my
is
characters
helpful.
always start in the 20s. I like writing series where it like goes on. So I feel like they always start in the 20s and like end up in the 30s. So it's like you also see like the growth and of the person of the characters as well. So, you know, they grow up.
Cool.
Well, as we're getting towards the end of our time, I definitely want to ask you, if someone was to ask you, which of your books should I read first? What would you tell them? And Jaleesa, will start with you because I know you'll be able to jump in quickly for it.
I tell people it really depends on if they want a full-length novel or a short story collection. Me personally, I think that right now shorter reads are like more so what people are into because people's attention spans have been shrinking. So I would actually suggest my short story, which is Blood Ties, and I'm actually working on an audiobook version of it through my Backerkit campaign.
Nice.
That starts on November 12th, so I'm hoping to do that. So yeah, I would actually suggest the short story collection for that particular reason.
Great. Okay. SK, what about you?
Yeah, I think Hidden Love was my first book. See the sexy guys. Yep, that's me. So I would say if you want to jump into who I am as an author, definitely start with Hidden Love. But all my books are contemporary except the Beast and Bromance series. So if you are a fantasy person and you want to get to know me, then I would say start with that one. So.
I love that title. It's amazing.
Yeah. I got just a quick note. I got a comment that told me, reviewers are funny. I got a commenter that told me that the title was misleading because bromance is supposed to be non-sexual and
Wow.
there was so much sex in the
So
book.
much
And I'm like,
sex.
okay. That's kind of why I put it there, but okay.
It's it's bromance to lovers.
It was, yes, that's exactly. You get me,
Yes.
Golden. That's
Yes.
exactly what it was. It was
I'm here
bromance
for
to
it.
lovers.
So that fits, yeah.
Okay, Rebecca, where should we start with you?
I would say, I have two fan favorites, if I can name them both. Pursued is the first book in the Vampire Syndicate series, and it's just people really seem to like it. And then Saving Jace, which is actually the fourth novel in the Fada Shapeshifters series. Again, that's just kind of been a fan favorite, and how do we even know why, right? You're like, how did I do this? Can I reproduce it? But so Saving Jace, Pursued.
Wonderful. Okay, so and if we want to find you online to connect, if you have a website, if you have a particular social media that you are on more often than the others, I know for most of us, we're not on all of them all the time. A lot of people have a favorite. So where would you like to direct people to find you? And SK, we'll start with you.
So there.
QR,
My
handy QR
code.
code.
That will take you directly to my website. It's just my name, www.skaykabba.com. I hang around on Instagram more than anything else. Just because whatever I put on Instagram gets automatically copied to Facebook, but I just like Instagram. I'm not a big TikToker. I talk a lot, but I'm not good at doing shorts for TikToks, which to the chagrin of my publishers who keeps wanting me to do that. But yeah, so that's the best place to find me. Just go through my website. All my books are there, or just find me on Instagram because I'm always promoting my stuff.
Rebecca, where do we find you?
On my website, RebeccaRivard.com, and Instagram, like SK said.
Oh, all these Instagram people. Okay, Jaleesa, where do we look for you?
So my website is www.thejsliving.com, and then all my socials are at the JS Living, but like Rebecca and SK, I am mostly on Instagram because it's just easier for me. And like SK, everything I post on Instagram automatically posts to Facebook. Occasionally I'll post on like TikTok, but it's very rare. It's very
I am definitely the odd man out in this group. It's fine.
Oh, and I did start on Blue Sky, but again, it's very rare for me to post on Blue Sky.
And I think that's actually a good lesson for any authors watching is everyone has their favorite thing that works the best for them. That's where you should focus your time because you can't do it all. You will burn out.
Unless you have a social media person.
Yes. Well, but then it's not you doing it. So it's hand it off. Hand it off. All right. So I think that about wraps up our time. Heather, is there any final notes that you would like to make from the Right Women's Festival?
I just want to thank everybody for participating with this virtual panel. And as always, we love to have Golden Angel helping us on any aspect of the Book Fest. She always elevates us a little bit and makes things fun. I hope that everybody watching will please go visit, including Golden Angel, who has heart and bottom warming romance. As you can see behind her, she's got an interesting bookshelf, and she has, if you're an author watching, she has her author tips for authors on TikTok, which I have been watching for like 3 years now. So there's a lot of them. So go back and watch if you want to do a book event. If you don't know how to set up your table, if you don't know, should you be on Amazon or should you be on Drafted Digital? If you don't know any of those things, go start with Golden Angels Author Tips for Authors. She's got all of that information. And we also have on my affiliated group, the Right Women Network on Facebook, or on this YouTube channel, there's a lot of information on how to get published. Please go to each of these people. And Golden Angel, where can people find you?
So I am www.goldenangelromance.com. Like you said, my TikTok and Facebook are where I am most active. And if you are looking for the tips and you are not a TikTok person, like everybody here, I've started taking that content and moving it to Substack as well. So you can also, I'm putting all the tips on Substack.
And
I
Golden
realize
Angel.
it's not for everyone.
You also have a consulting business as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which again, she's full of really good information, successful author here. So please reach out to Golden Angel. And then thank you, Rebecca, SK, and JS for being here today. Please go check out their books. They make great holiday gifts. If you miss the holidays or you think a sexy romance book isn't right for your Christmas gift giving, right after that is Valentine's. It's in February. Please pick up if your beloved likes romance books or vampires or werewolves or cat shifters or whatever. There's something here for everybody. So please think about picking it up for a Valentine's gift. That makes a really unique, lovely Valentine's gift. And please check out their websites to see where you can find them in person. And pick up your book in person, because then you get it signed and then you get to meet the author. So, and this concludes our panel for the 2025 Right Women Book Festival. It was Romance, Vanilla to Extra Spicy. It's all about happily ever after. Thank you, everybody, and have a good day.
Thank you.